Uh, you can start. We are live.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Aitada Fatima, Research Domain Head 360 SCMC. 360 Muslim Experts is a non-profit Islamic organization working in about 28 medical colleges across Punjab and 16 non-medical colleges. This research initiative has been taken to upgrade the students and to bring innovation in our current knowledge. So today we are with the respective and erudite speaker, Dr. Ghualam Mustafa Rayar, Associate Professor, Community Medicine, SDMC. He is with us and he'll be guiding us through to the day 3 of this 3 days workshop of research symposium. Today is the last day, and we hope to get maximum out of this session. And our co-host will be joining us soon, Dr. Zinia Iqbal, President CRF.
Thank you very much. And Atida, can we start now?
Yes, sir.
Or we should? Okay. So how many participants are there? Atida, can we check how many participants are there? She is not around, I think. So Bismillah Rahman Rahim. I think we should start. So this is Dr. Ghulam Mustafa, Associate Professor, Community Medicine. So this is third day of our this session, the 3-day sessions, third day session of the series of webinars that are related to the research. Basically, the purpose of these presentations was to simply take you above the research details of the research components like epidemiology, biostatistics, and research methodology itself. What happens with most of us while we study epidemiology, biostat, and research methodology, we are stuck in the nitty-gritties and complexities of the topics, and we can't link different things which are being taught by different teachers in different lectures. So we are not able to integrate these things, and when the things are not integrated, teachers teach them separately. What happens with the students that they always get confused, and in the end, some of them with personal efforts, almost all of them are stuck in the complexities and feel confused. So this series of these sessions was purpose was to take you above the nitty-gritties and merge all these things, integrate in such a way that you are above the complexities. So selection of variables, we were talking about previously, we were talking about 3 distinct approaches, means descriptive approach, analytical approach, and experimental approach. So each having different purposes, and each having different study designs, and so the different objectives. I have merged these and made these simplified in this slide. If you focus on this, you will find that this is crux of all the presentation that we have done so far, the whole of the present slides that we have done specifically last day. So there are 3 distinct approaches, and there are relevant study designs, and what may be the specific objective for that study design, and which type of then variables which are specific to that study design and objective are there. And then from these examples I have taken what is probable, what is most probable outcome of the analysis of the study. So look at the first row. Three distinct approaches. Among the first one was to measure the magnitude of the disease. An appropriate study design for this is a cross-sectional study. We already discussed yesterday. Then the objective which is appropriate to this type of study design looks like this: to determine the prevalence of anemia in adult rural population. Means you have to measure the burden of disease of anemia in specifically adult rural population. Then comes which type of variable which are specific to these this type of objectives and study design. So here I have not written demographic variables actually. I am only talking specific objectives which serve the purpose of that objective, and I simplified them. So, if we focus on the objective to determine the prevalence, how we will determine the prevalence means we will measure anemia, and it would be either yes, anemia would be present, or it would be absent. So anemia, one of the variable, either as present or absent. Then hemoglobin level as well. So anemia is presence or absence is a proportion a categorical variable, and hemoglobin is numerical variable. Possible analysis outcome should be like this: percentage of the population, adult rural population, who is anemic. And then uh, we can also measure mean hemoglobin plus minus standard deviation and standard error and so on. These are the very basic analysis outcomes that we can get. Yes, for the demographic variable, you can also measure age, sex, and socioeconomical status, and also residence, also number of child, family income, things like that. You can also demographic. I have omitted these for the purpose of understanding. I have only written only those which are very relevant, specific to the objective. The second distinct approach is risk factor determination or association. So risk factor identification, this second approach, in which we use either one of the two approaches, means case control study or cohort study. And I have taken the example of case control study in this slide. So the objective should be like this: to determine the risk factor, of anemia in adult rural population. This is different from the first objective, first approach. And the out variable which are specific to this type of objective, in which one wants to determine the risk factor, should be like this. In this example, you have to at least you must have to mention the case or the control, because you will select either cases or control, cases having anemia and those who do not have anemia. And the second variable would be infant worm infestation. So this is another type of variable. So we want to basically purpose it to determine the risk factor. Means in this case, the risk factor is intestinal worm infestation as cause of anemia. So one is cause and other is outcome, means anemia happened or not. So worm infestation is present or not. So the possible outcome shall be, in if it is case control study, odds ratio, and if it is the cohort study, relative risk or incidence. Uh, we can calculate these things from the analysis outcome. Then comes third approach, which is treatment or interventional approach, in which the appropriate study design is experimental study, in which we determine the effect of albendazole. We have basically divided the patients of anemia in rural areas into two groups. One will get albendazole, other will get health education for hygienic food intake. So the one you need to do is the group determination, one variable. Other would be the treatment outcome, means whether it is cured or not. The outcome of the analysis shall be like this: the percent of patients who get cured in both of these groups. So which one has any one of these? Which one is better, albendazole or hygienic? The result would be in percentages. The better the percentage of the patients who got the cure would be labeled as the recommended as appropriate treatment. So this is how the three distinct approaches, their relevant study designs, approaches, selection of variables, and then possible outcome is the purpose of our research, how we follow this methodology. So these variables are very important. I have given you the example. Independent variables include, in this example, the independent variables are those which are manipulated under certain conditions to see what affects. Say, in this case of third interventional study, the independent variable would be giving either albendazole or giving health education to some patients. So these are manipulated, these are intervened, these are input variables. Okay, the outcome variable, the cure rate in both groups. Okay, this is how independent dependent variables are categorized. Confounding variables are those which intervene and which affect both independent and dependent variable at the same time. Say education, literacy. In our example of third approach, if someone is educated, obviously if we include people who more people in the hygienic group, and who also learn from the for very easy to who are very receptive to your health education sessions, they also may get information from other sources, social media, and get albendazole, or they are more prone to adopt your health education session, and it may confound, it may affect more on the outcome variable as compared to albendazole. So confounding are at the same time affect the independent and dependent variable. So we're talking. Someone asked me about the hypothesis yesterday. So what is hypothesis? Is the tentative prediction or explanation of the relationship between two or more variables. It suggests explanation for certain facts and guides the investigation of the related facts. So it also helps to translate the problem statement or precise, unambiguous prediction of the expected outcomes. Say in the previous example, to determine the risk factor, to determine the effect of albendazole versus hygienic food intake. So we can take a tentative statement as a right tentative statement of hypothesis in such a way that albendazole is better than hygienic food health education. So this is our own prediction. So this is also translated later on in conclusion as well. So next is, you'll see that these are descriptive approaches that follow the first approach. Study design is cross-sectional, that basically generates hypothesis, and disease description is there, community diagnosis there, and assessment of the community perception can be done. With analytical approaches, there are case control and cohort study designs. Prospective is also called cohort study design, historical cohort, and there are different types of analytical studies. Experimental studies, we only talked about randomized control trials yesterday. There are other types of like laboratory work versus open field, animal experimental studies, clinical experimental studies, randomized clinical trials are one of them. Field trials, quasi-experimental studies are those types of study which at least miss one of the characteristic of randomized control trial. Randomization is not there, proper intervention is not there, blinding is not there. If one of these three things are not there, then you call it quasi, means half experimental study. So let us discuss about methodology. While you are writing your research proposal, you have to decide on these things. Study designs, we talked about them. These are important because you have to choose among cross-sectional, case cohort, and experimental studies. And these study designs must be in alignment with the objective and title of your study. Okay, so that is, we have discussed in previous slides. Then the study setting and duration, it is important. I told you that study setting, because where the problem is actually measured, it is important to mention in the study, and duration of study as well. She's specifically telling the readers that which study designs, which study subjects you included is matter of focus for, let me, there is some problem again. Look at this example. We specifically talked about adult rural population. We are not talking about all the population. We are talking about adult, not urban, not young, not children. We are talking about adult, and then they must be rural, not urban. So specifically, you have to tell them which population you are including in the study. Inclusion exclusion makes a study subject selection more clear. So sample size is smallest number of units that is required to be studied for getting statistically valid results, and that is generalizable as well. So now comes how to calculate sample size. Specifically, we are discussing today descriptive study, and you will get some hint how to calculate sample size for case control cohort and experimental study as well. I have included the most simple one here. Uh, so what is important in sample size calculation? Your objective, study design, outcome variable, and precision. How precisely you want to calculate a prevalence of anemia in the population. Okay. You want to be precise. At a minimum precision you need to be is 5%. It must not deviate more than 5% of the uh, actual prevalence of anemia in the population. So not more than 5% is allowed. If you want to be more precise, use 4%, 3%, 2%, and 1% most precise. Okay, so this is standard, less than 5%. So take an example of the first objective we have taken from the descriptive approach. To determine the prevalence of anemia among adult rural population of Rayar Khan, study design is in this case cross-sectional study. Outcome variable is anemia. Precision, as I told you, that it must be less than 5%. Let's see how it is calculated. There are so many. When you write sample size calculation for descriptive studies or simple sample size calculation for a proportion, in this case, we want to measure the prevalence of anemia in the population, and prevalence is measured in percentages or proportion. So I have written in the Google while making the slide, sample size to estimate a proportion, a single proportion. Okay, so this slide, this was the tab that came in front, and this is the screenshot of that tab. If you can focus on it a little bit, I think it is more clear now. You have to give estimated prevalence, means anticipated value. Okay, so the desired precision is, I told you, less than 5%. Confidence level must be 95% sure that your results are the true representation of the population. Then you have to put estimated true. This is your literature review that will show the how much is anticipated expected prevalence in the population. It may be. So look in the next slide. Just wait for a moment. There is a lag. Okay, there is a lag. So I have to go back to the exit full screen, I think. Look, hope the lag is over now. Look, what I did actually, I ha- is it okay now? I'm changing the slide. Tell me in the WhatsApp message. Is it okay? Fatma? Oh, sorry, it's Atida. I have not saved it as.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I'm changing slides. Lag is over.
No, sir. We are looking for the solution.
Okay, it's moving. Slides are moving, or there is a lag. There is a problem again, I think. It's okay. Atida says in the message. Okay, so what I did, I went to literature for literature review, and I got this article, previous article published in the literature, and from there I found that in a Chinese population, rural population, the prevalence of anemia was 9.7%. So this is anticipated prevalence of anemia that we are going to expect, and we will write this 9.71 value here where there was estimated true proportion. I wrote it there, and the result was this. The sample size required for specific inputs was calculated to be 135 in the bottom. Okay. So estimated proportion is 0.097. I have written there, entered this one. Then desired precision of estimate was 5%. That was by default. Confidence level 95%. That was again by default. And I have not given the population, expected population, estimated population there. If I would have written this, the sample size would have increased. Okay. Okay, it's okay now. Atida? We are done with sample size of a cross-sectional study taking single expected proportion. So you can go into the go to Google and search for the sample size calculation for a single proportion. You can also go when you are measuring HB in mean and standard deviation. Then for sample size, you have to ask Google sample size calculator for measuring measuring a single mean. Okay. Similarly, you can ask Google to show you the sample size calculator for case control study, or for single proportion, or two proportions when it is two means, if you are comparing case and controls, or two means or two proportion when you are comparing two groups of intervention in experimental studies. So there are most of the things are self-explanatory. They also give the description on the side of the tab, and they are very helpful. So you can go into sample size and formulas. Don't need to go into formulas, and you can go to the software and calculate sample size easily. So this is sample size calculation for a descriptive study with a simple single proportion. Okay, so next is sampling techniques. So what is sample? Sample is a part of the whole which is representative of the whole population. So there are two types of sampling techniques: convenient sampling, that we also call it as non-probability sampling, and probability sampling, we call it as random sampling. So convenient sample, there are many types of convenient sampling. Means it depends on your convenience. You select people which are closer to you, which are easy to access, you are easy to get samples. Okay. it is less costly and less time consuming, but it is not representative. Overall problem with convenient sampling is that they are not true representative of the whole underlying population. This is always a weakness of a convenient sample. So whenever you get a chance, go for probability sample. Voluntary response sample means people give voluntary. We send people the questionnaire on Google Forms, and the response is voluntary. Again, it has a problem of being non-representative and this weak sampling. Purposive sampling, we select people by your own purpose. We only select students from the Sheikh Zayed Medical College. We don't go to other. And then the final one is snowball. We get, like in case of AIDS cases, the intravenous drug abusers, we take sample of one intravenous drug abuser and ask him, tell us about some other people who are taking intravenous drugs. So he'll take you to other people who are with intravenous drug abuse. Okay. So this is snowball sampling. This is not, again, not a good type of sampling, and it is convenient and weak style of not non-representative type of sampling. The best things if you can do is doing probability sampling in sampling. Simple random sampling, this is draw method. Simply write the name of the study participants and randomly take chits out of the draws, the names of the, and complete your sampling. Systematic is following a systematic way of like every third or every fourth or every 10th sample, and take a systematic sample from the population. Stratified means population can be in stratas, female and male, rich, middle, and poor class, rural and urban, proportionate to the strata in the population. Like in a class, if these are some 40% are male and 60% are female, you have to take 40% of your sample from male and 60% from the female. This is stratified sampling. Strata. Cluster in large populations, in especially in the rural areas and at population, you select villages, you select union councils, and then take sample from the individual union council. This may be systematic, simple, random, or stratified as well later on. First, you select the cluster. So this is all about probability sampling. So another thing you need to know in methodology is whatever you do, it must be, whatever you measure, it must be valid, it must be reliable. Parameters you are going to measure, it must be you, the method must be very reliable and valid. So another concept while you are selecting controls, like in case control study, basically controls are comparable units drawn from the similar population. Means you take patients of anemia and you take same number of controls. They can be more than cases. Controls, they must be comparable. While you take patients of anemia from the rural population, you have to take controls who don't have the disease from the same population of almost same age and comparable sex. Means for every female you select a female, that is better one. So controls, you basically increase the validity of the results, and controls should be matched as many as variables as possible, and so that confounding is controlled. So how we collect the data? Study instrument with questionnaires, interviews, schedules, and equipments as well. So your questionnaire must be valid and it must be reliable. Look at this example. This is IQ test question. It says that at 4:25 bus to the metro airport has a travel time of 1 hour and 45 minutes. The bus is running late today, though. What will be the arrival time to the airport? There are 4 different options. So this is very complex for a common person, from which in our country, if you ask this question, even the educated one would not be able to answer this question. If you really want to measure the IQ of Pakistani nation, you will find that most of us will fail. Even the educated one would fail. So this is not a valid question to measure IQ of a Pakistani community, Pakistani population. Okay, and is it reliable? No, it's not measuring what we want to measure. It will not give the results, same results again. Okay, so this is reliability and valid. It must measure what it intends to measure. So validity versus reliability as far as measuring tool of your question or questionnaire is. So look at this example. On my left hand side, in the first one, you see there is reliability, not validity. I mean, the aim was to hit the central dot, but it repeatedly hit in a specific small area, and it deviated from the point where it intended to hit. So it is reliable. It is giving a false results, but very close on a different value. Means if it is on the same side again, there is problem with the measuring tool is that it is not hitting the purpose. So it is not solving the purpose. It not is measuring what it intends to measure as far as the questionnaire is concerned. But it measures, like if you have a measuring machine. Weight machine is there, and it continuously gives not giving the exact weight of the population you are measuring, and it gives every time everyone when you measure the weight of every study subjects, it gives 5 plus points on kgs on each measurement. So it is always measuring 5 plus. It is wrong, it is not valid, it is not measuring the exact what weight is. It is on the positive side every time. So this means on the positive side, it is not giving results like sometime at 10 kgs difference, sometimes 20 kgs difference, and sometimes 1 kg difference, or minus 10 kg difference. So it is continuously on the one side. It is 5 kg plus each time. So this is reliable, although 5 plus on each measurement, but it is reliable. Not valid because it's not giving the exact weight. The next slide, low validity, low reliability. The weight measuring machine is weighing machine is giving results on either side, 20 minus 20 plus 5 plus 1 minus, every time it gives different, not valid, not reliable. The third picture, it shows it's not reliable, not valid. Okay, neither it touches the central point, it gives the exact weight. It is both not, and in the final picture, both reliable and valid. It is hitting close to the original weight or aim. So this is reliability. Your questionnaire should be valid and reliable. So another thing, you have to write down what is the process of data collection, how you will proceed to approach the community, how the investigators, data collector will be selected, how they will be trained. They must be trained before data collection starts. And for training, you do a pilot study. The same study is conducted at a smaller scale. The sample size, if it was 10,000, you have to do it at least 500, 200 people first. So it is called pilot study. So the questionnaires are pre-tested again in pilot study, so that to measure the validity and increase the validity and reliability of the tool. So pre-testing of the question in a pilot study helps to validate the study instrument. Standardization can be done, and it also tests the clarity of the questions that are being asked, then test acceptability of the questions to the population, and logical sequence of the question is also done. Pilot studies are akin to full dress rehearsal. It must be done. It is like it is a full scale study, and also can be used to determine the sample size when in case you don't find anticipated values in literature. You are doing a research which have never been done in world, then you can use a pilot study. Components are not feasible and modification may be needed. So description, another section of the methodology is data analysis plan. When you write your research proposal, you have to write what you are going to do in data analysis. And remember, in the first slide of today, I told you while you are selecting the study approach, among one of three distinct approaches and four study designs, then relevant objectives, then variables, and then what would be the possible outcome of the analysis. So you have to keep in your mind, and you must be prepared, and you have to write in your proposal that this type of analysis you are going to do. You can't do you can't find simple incidents of some disease from a case control study. So these things are important. That is why I included that slide. An integral part of research design must be incorporated in a research proposal, and data processing plan must be how it will be coded and which software will be used. Like most of the time we use SPSS. So finally, once you have written the report, interpreted the results, discussion is completed, conclusion is there, and you have to publish your results. So they say publish or perish. If you leave your study research work after some time, it will perish because the time will pass, and it will be outdated. It will become outdated. So is it to validate selected hypotheses and to disseminate information. So that if you don't publish, so as I said, you are not adding to the existing pool of the knowledge. So ethical issues, some of the ethical issues, that your study must be harmless. You must take informed written consent. From the consent means you have to tell the study subjects the whole project in briefly, what would be the benefit or what can be the side effects of the and what can be the remedies for the side effects that may occur. Adverse reactions, placebo effect, confidentiality. Whatever you collect, it must be kept confidential. Patient must not be exploited. If the patients are your students, or patients are from prisoners, they must not be exploited to give the data. Ethical committee approval is important. Whenever you go for a study research project, first get ethical approval from the institution or ethical committee. So the purpose of this presentation, a whole 3-day session, was that the most common issue faced during research conduction and article writing is malalignment of objective, study design, and outcome. So this is all about, there are some other types of explanations of same things, but I will skip these things, and there are some other. Faiza Mansha is there, Atida is already there, Xenia is. So with this, we end today's session, and only thing that is left, we will enter data into the SPSS and do analysis in front of you live. So I have to close this presentation. So if anybody has any question, ask me so that I can proceed to the next stage. Any question, please? Atida, are you?
Sir, there is a question that is, what is placebo effect?
Yes. Placebo effect is, let me go to that slide. It was in ethical issue. Yeah. Placebo effect is that while we give, there are two groups of, we divide the patient in two groups. Okay. To one group, we give true drug, and to other group, we give a placebo drug. Means the shape, size, color of the drug is same as to the intervention group, original drug, drug A. The placebo drug is that its color, its texture, its size, everything is like original drug. Okay. but we gave it to the other group, group B, in which this pseudo drug is actually, it don't have the active ingredient of the drug. It is basically to tell the to give to given to the control groups or the comparison group, so that uh, while we this is basically, its purpose is to compare both group. One group is getting the active drug, other is getting the similar type of drug but without active drug. So what happens while we do analysis, we do analysis on cure rate in both groups. Okay, so you will see that in active drug group, like there are some 80% of the people who get cured. Okay, but in case of placebo group or control group, some 20% of the people would also get cured. Okay, so due to some other reasons, like in case of hepatitis B patients, some 50% of the population patients would get cured by themselves. Okay, and the self-limiting, it becomes self-limiting. If we give some of the people with hepatitis B treatment, one of specific drug A treatment, one group of the hepatitis B patient gets A and other gets the similar shape and a drug that is not having any active drug, so some of them will also get cured. So the feeling, the placebo is that thing that we give to other group who does not have the active ingredient. So placebo effect is that people do feel better with the drug which even don't have the active ingredient in it. So that effect is placebo effect. Okay, so people would say that yes, I am feeling better. So you have to tell them that in a randomized control trial, you have tell to the people that in group A and B, both of the group, you have to tell them that either you will get active ingredient drug or a placebo drug, and placebo drug would not have any active ingredient. You have to tell them, and this is done blindly. You are not going to tell them that this is placebo. We keep the shapes and color of the drugs similar. The only difference is there is no active ingredient in it in a placebo drug. So in placebo effect, uh, you have to tell them that one of the group, you may get either active drug or a placebo drug. Okay, so if you don't tell them that you may get active or placebo, this is unethical. Okay, when you have a treatment, you have to give them the drug. So why you are going to give them placebo? So in case you have to do give the placebo drug, you have to tell them you can be in either placebo group or active ingredient group. So there are so many solutions to this effect is, if you can find a you have to, if you can find you want to test a new drug, then you have to give the other possible drug that is already in use in market. You have to compare to their drug, old drug actually. Okay, so there are some other solutions as well, but this is the one that you can do it easily. So there is a question, I have a question: how much should be the length of the research to make it published? Length of the, yes, in terms of time or in terms of word count? It depends. As far as time is concerned, uh, it should be fair enough. Like if you want to include study subjects like of leishmaniasis, yeah, HIV, in Sheikh Zayed Medical College, Rahim Yar Khan. So you have to keep in mind that if you have a sample size of 500, you will find it in like 5 years. So it must be plausible, it must be logical. So duration of study, number one. If it is you are asking about word count, it is in most of the cases of original research article, it is around 2000 words. Okay, excluding the references. I think I asked. Acha. Awais Mahmood asks abstract methodology, discussion, results, and conclusion. I think this is the same. Yes. Over and individual every aspect means abstract is of 250 words, less than 250 words, and introduction is usually 5 to 800 words, and then results. It depends on your objective and analysis. It may be 5 to 800 again, and then again the discussion. It is around 5 to 800 again. Keep in this sequence. Can we do cross-sectional study without IRB approval? You must take IRB approval. They may give you a letter that this cross-sectional study is exempted from ethical approval because there is no ethical issue. This is for academic purpose. There is no study subject possibility of harm to the patient. It is only for based on data. You have to give. They have to give you exemption letter then. So always get in touch with IRB and get whatever they say, exemption, approval, or full board review. You have to go to IRB ethical for ethical approval. For systematic review, we have to go through the whole literature related to the topic, or is there any limit? It is Muhammad Sanwal. I would tell you, advise you not to go straight into systematic reviews. Yes, it is good way to get publication and citation before you complete your graduation. You must then get guidance from your teacher. One of few of our students are in touch with me, and I'm finding some simple way to help them so that they can do the systematic review and meta-analysis. And after vacation, when they come back, we'll inshallah do it. I would ask you, okay, it depends again. So all the topic or any limit. If you go into the guidelines of doing systematic review and meta-analysis, and there are 17, around 17 or 27, I think 27 uh, standards you have to follow and things you have to consider before for doing systematic review and meta-analysis. If I remember correctly, it is 27. Okay. Any other question? Sir, if any article is paid and we have access only to abstract, can we quote it in our research? Yes, you can quote. Most of the abstracts are written in such a way. The purpose of abstract is written is to give you the whole picture in 250 words actually. So many things are already written in abstract actually. You can do it. So for more detailed discussion, for more detail in discussion, you can go for full text or even for introduction literature review, full text is better. But you can run with this. You can do this by only focusing on abstracts, not every time. Kindly highlight the question asked by Ali Zubair.
Sir, there's another question by Ali Zubair, that is, which study design is better for students, that is cross sectional, cohort, or descriptive, or analytical, or interventional?
I would suggest that you go for cross-sectional study or case control study. You don't have too much time. Or let me emphasize on become a team, working in team. If you really want to do experimental study or cohort studies are difficult to do, even case control study, you should work in teams. Okay. Few of them would be doing literature review or jointly, then someone would be collecting data on your behalf, and some others would be doing later on when you are busy in exams. To work in teams, don't focus on first three. Try to become focused on things like only first three authors are important. No, no, no. This can be like 10 authors in a study, and they all get benefit of that. And it is better to make a team. So cross sectional is a good one, and second thing would be case control study.
And sir, I'm correcting the question. It is the question is that which study design is more appropriate for the students, descriptive, analytical, or interventional?
Uh, Descriptive is most easier one. The next easier one is case control study. You got my point? It was Xenia.
No, sir. There was student Ali Zubair. He asked the question. I
Ali
guess.
Zubair, you got my point. The first one is easier one is cross-sectional study, and that too if done in hospital settings. And the next one would be case control study, if you want to be more analytical. The experimental studies are not that easy. Yes, if you make teams, you can do experimental studies as well. Ali Zubair, I think you got my point. So, any other question? So, sir, if any cross-sectional, there is no some ethical consideration, we can publish it without IRB approval, right? No. I told you, Fiza, I told you that nowadays journals are asking for ethical approval letters. So you have to give the journals the ethical approval letter. In ethical approval, if there is no chances of harm to it, it is academic type of study, then they will give you a letter in one day most of the times that there is no need to do to get ethical approval for this, and this study is exempted from the at the proper full exempted from the ethical approval. So you have to submit this to the journal. So without ethical approval letter, you would not be able to publish in journals. Nowadays, it is they are very strict. Finally, the question, alpha value. So let me make it clear to you people that the purpose of these 83 slides or 90 slides was not to tell you everything. The basic purpose was to get you above the complexities and nitty-gritties of the complex subjects of epidemiology and biostat, because I know these things are taught in our colleges and schools in in isolation. They are not taught jointly. Students actually are struck with the things that are taught in one lecture by one teacher, and after few days the similar type of things are taught by another teacher in biostatistics. So we have to make a link between epidemiology, biostatistics, and research methodology. So the purpose was to link these things, and these are basically, if I can really tell you, that in a university it takes almost at least minimum one semester, means 3 lectures a day, and 4 months, 3 lecture a day. It would take 4 months to tell these things. You will come up with these concepts at the end of 4 months of the learning from on research and research methodology, epidemiology, and biostatistics. You will come up with these solutions and these concepts at the end of 4 months. So what I tried for you is I tried to sum up these things so that when you are in from class first year to fourth year, you are learning research and related things. You are somehow clear to the things how they are interlinked with each other. So coming to alpha value, we take it 5%. This is a probability of having a result This is a probability of having a result got by chance. Okay. In other words, if our results, what about if we results are by got the result findings are got by chance, like 70% of the findings are by chance. Let me explain in a simple way. If 70% of the findings are, like in case of anemia case, if our results say that 70% of the people who were actually having labeled as anemia were actually by chance came up into the our study subject. Okay, the results were 70% were by chance. That is very difficult to make it representative of the whole population. So we only allow less than 5% of probability of getting a result by chance. Okay, so if you really want to ask me in detail, then you have to go into normal distribution curve, and then what is the 5% p-value and things like that. And you will learn these things in biostatistics if you are from Sheikh Zayed Medical College or any others. Which study is more effective for student descriptive or analytical intervention? I told you earlier, Ali Zubair, the best thing is descriptive and cross-section, easier one. And the next easy one is analytical, that too, case control study. So Atada said it was
Yes, sir.
Hidayat who said, kindly highlight my question. Okay, she asked you. I think which journal should be chosen for publication, and why we should choose medium complexity level journal for first few publications like W, Y, and X categories. The best thing would be you select the best one. Okay, but it is not possible most of the times. If you are working, and again, if you are working in teams and your team has some senior people in their team as well, they would take you to help you in publishing in some W category journals as well, or internationally indexed journals as well. Initially, people do choose simple journals like Y category journals as well. Later on, when you are experienced and you get experience, you have long career ahead. Is it must to measure sample size from formula? Can't we take it by our convenience? Yes, 360 Muslim experts ask this question. Uh, there is a way of selecting sample from like 1st January to 30th June. This is with time specific sample size selection, but I would advise you to go for sample size calculation through formula. If not formulas, there are so many type of sample size calculators on the net. You will find them, and with this example that I told you, you can do it easily if you read them a bit carefully. And also read my slide of aligning study designs with objectives and then variables and analysis outcomes. Is it okay now to move forward for SPSS session? So I'm
Yes, sir. We can
removing.
move forward.
Okay, remove from stage, first thing. Then I have to open SPSS. It will take some time on my laptop, like 1 minute or so. Wait, please. Where is charger? Ilyas sir, can you help me connecting the charger? It's okay. Yes, IBM SPSS statistics. It is opening. Yes, it is here. StreamYard, present, share screen. I hope it works. And window, untitled dataset 1, share. So SPSS window is visible or not? Students, what is this? SPSS window is visible or not?
Sir, it is visible.
Okay. So now we'll move forward with untitled 1. This is untitled 1. Untitled 1, yes, it is. Data. This is this. So this is the tab of SPSS. SPSS stands for Statistical Package for Social Sciences, and this is used for data entry and analysis. So you can see this is variable view. Then on the left hand corner on bottom side, you will see that there is a data view tab and there is a variable view tab. Okay, are you with me? I am clicking on these two simultaneously so that I can check if there is lag or not, or it is okay. Atida, tell me.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
So what happened to this? So now can we do it here? No. Right. I have to go there. Okay. So one tab is data view, another tab is variable view. In variable view, remember we will take example of cross-sectional study in one of our descriptive approaches, that is cross-sectional study approach, in which we actually the objective was to determine the prevalence of anemia among adult rural population. Remember that it was a cross-sectional study. So there were few variables as well. So what were the variables? Anemia, yes or no, and then HB. Okay. So when you go in the field and in the rural areas and you get HB level through some instrument, lab instrument, and you find some HB level for these study participants, so what happens? You have to write them on a questionnaire because you have to write their demographic variables as well. Okay, so demographic variables would be like age, sex, and then we will simplify it. Then you will measure HB level, and based on HB level, you will categorize the patient as having anemia or not, normal. Okay, so one is data view, one is variable view. In the variable view, in the name section, look at the name of the first column. It is name. You have to write the short form of the name. This is serial number, serial underscore number. So you have to label serial numbers on each questionnaire. Okay, so serial number is usually written in numeric. Okay, numbers में लिखते हैं we, और उसका फिर हम लेबल लिखते हैं in detail. Means same variable name which is written in short form in the first column. In the label form, you have to write in detail. Okay, so we'll leave it here. We'll go to the next variable. So next variable would be age of the study subject. Age is quite small number, was 3 letters word. So there is no short form of it. It would be also labeled as numeric. Are you okay? Someone send me message. I can't see message right now. So in the label, you have to write age in years, because age can be in days, months. So because we are doing research on adults, so it is age in years. So going back to third variable, that is sex. 3-letter word, small enough. Sex is not numeric. We have to label it as male or female. This is categorical type of variable. Categories. Okay, so category is when it is categorical type of variable category, then in SPSS we take string is equivalent to categorical variable string. So in label you will write sex simply of the study subjects, and then comes another column, values, because you cannot write male or female. You cannot analyze things as male or female in mathematics. You are going to apply mathematics, so you have to give them values. For say 1 for male, add 2 for female. You have to give values and then label and OK. You will see that in this values column, it become 1 for male and 2 for female. Okay. So third, technically second and overall third variable. So what we are going to do next is HB. HB would be measured in numbers. So numeric. So here we will write the complete name, hemoglobin. It is numeric, so no need to write values here. The last thing is anemia. Anemia is again a categorical, and you will take the string here. So anemia. It would be either yes, 1 stands for yes, the patient has anemia, and 2 stands for no anemia, normal. So these are 3 hypothetical. These are basically 4 variables and 5 including the serial number. So look at the variable view we have made technically, which we are going to analyze, are 4 variables. 2 are numeric and 2 are string variables, means categorical. So look at another tab which shows data view. Look at the first row, and you will see that names of the short form of the names of each variable is written in the first row. Okay, so here we will enter the data. This is entry, data entry. The first variable view was data variable entry, and this was the data entry tab. Say one in serial number one questionnaire, the age of patient was like 27 years. Sex was female, means we labeled it as 2, and hemoglobin of that patient was like 9. And anemia, because we would label anemia less than 12, so it would be anemia yes 1. Okay, remember we have labeled them here. Anemia is yes, 2 is no, 1 is yes, 2 is no, and male is 1, female is 2. So we have given them the numbers. Go into the next questionnaire. Questionnaire number 2, age was 60 years, and he was a male, and HB was 11, so like 12, so no anemia, and so on. Third one, like 40 years to females, HB 11, anemia, to yes was anemia, yes, and 4. Age 35, it was male, 1, HB was 13, no anemia, 2. In this way, you actually, I'm doing basically copy pasting them again so that we can get the results quickly. And it is not done actually, this is not fair, but for the purpose of saving time and to give you, take you to the analysis part, I have copy pasted them. So are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Can we move to analyze now? So what we can get, remember, we can get percentage of the population having anemia, okay, and we can get hemoglobin level, mean hemoglobin level, okay. So look, we will go into analyze descriptive statistics, means frequencies, clicked. We will first select hemoglobin. I'm not doing analysis of variables, demographic variable. I'm only talking about that we discussed in previous slides. Hemoglobin. For hemoglobin, which is a numerical variable, you can't measure percentages. You have to measure mean, median, mode, measures of central tendency, standard deviation, and measures of dispersion, minimum, maximum, things like that. Okay, you can click them. We will find that this is what happened. The mean hemoglobin level in this study participant was 11.25, and standard deviation was 1.52, median was 11.5, and mode was 9. Minimum was 9 and maximum was 13. So this is description of a numerical variable. Okay. What about description of a categorical variable? We'll take it back. The categorical variable, outcome variable in this example was simply, we don't need mean, median. If you don't unclick it, mark it, unmark it, it's no problem. But yes, frequency tables. Yes, there were 16 valid number of entry. There was no missing entry. So what happened? 8 means 50%. No, 8 of among the 16 were having anemia, means it makes 50% of the population in adult rural population were anemic. So your objective was to determine anemia, prevalence of anemia among adult rural population. Your objective is solved here, and you have got result that is in alignment with the objective. You can do other types of demographics analysis as well. We have omitted objective oriented. Then what about doing analysis of age? You can also calculate mean, median, and mode of these. They have their own significance, why we take them, and dispersion as well, standard minimum, maximum. Click, you'll find that yes, the age in years is mean age of the study subject in this study were 40 years. Standard error of mean was 3, 37 was median, 27 was mode, and 12 was standard deviation. Okay. Similarly, we can do some other analysis of another sex distribution of the study subjects. Look, 50% were male and female, because this is hypothetical, we made it ourselves. So this looks like this: 50% are male and 50% are female. So up to this, you have done description of the population. Mean was 12 point something, mean hemoglobin was 12 point something, 11.25, and then description of 50% had anemia, and mean age was 40 years, and then 50% were female or 50% were male as well. This is description of the problem. You measure the magnitude of the problem. Means 50% of the adult rural population is anemic. This is simply, and you have to end here. Description means that's it. But what about doing? We can do analytical things in this. If this was type of an case control or cohort study or randomized control trial, we can also do for learning purpose some analytical things on this. Imagine we are doing comparing mean HB among male and female. So independent sample t-test, hemoglobin among male and female. The grouping variable is yes, age, and group 1 was labeled as 1 and group 2 was labeled as 2. We are telling SPSS, and yes, it is there, and boom. What happens? Something wrong with the independent sample test is not produced. Okay, there is some problem with it. There is some problem with, we have not entered independent variable over here. Let's go back and do it again. Descriptive, compare mean, independent sample, yes, hemoglobin level. What's wrong with it? Go back, and it was sex, define group 1 and 2, continue, and options, continue, then okay, yes, it happened this time. It's done. Look at this. The male hemoglobin was 12.5, mean hemoglobin was 12.5, and among female it was 10. Standard deviation relevant. Standard deviation and standard are also given there. So look at the hemoglobin equal variance assumed, significance two-tailed, 0.000. This is less than 0.05. For those who were asked, for that student who was asking about why probability of 0.05 or 5%, this is significantly below. 0.000 is very below to very low than 0.05, means 5%. It means the results are significantly different, means mean hemoglobin levels in male and female are significantly different. Role of chance is even less than 0.0001%. Okay, so if it was 1, means 10%, or it was 0.06 or 6%, then we would have said interpretation would be like there was a difference between male and female, HB of male and female, but results could be due to chance, and that chance is more than 5%, and we don't allow role of chance more than 5%, so results are not significant. This is how it is done. Another thing we can do here is another type of analysis. Look, categorical variable, anemia, and sex wise. Statistics लगाते हैं, we apply chi-square in this example, and we also get percentages, rows, and you will find that the result would be, look at this, chi-square. When we check significance level, role of chance in categorical variables, we apply chi-square test. Yes. Okay. So here in this case, among males,
Sir, the analysis is not visible.
Okay. So up to what level? Could you see t-test level methods, application of t-test? Was it visible to you? Application of t-test. Students?
Sir, I think we are seeing the data view. Or, sir, the analysis is not visible.
Have you not seen from where? Have you seen analysis output of this table?
No, sir.
Hemoglobin? Oh my God, I thought you are with me. So have you seen anemia table, this one? Is it visible now? Atida, can you call me on WhatsApp? I'm calling Atida, and can you switch to video? I can show you from here where we are stuck. Can you see these? Atida, on the WhatsApp, can you see?
Sir,
No, sir, analysis is not visible.
Look at the screen of my laptop so that we can move with. So where were we stuck? Was this table visible? Oh my God, it is stuck very early. So if it is stuck here, how can we move back? It was on the very early stage. Okay. There is a problem with the network then. We are stuck here. How can I move back then? Okay. Okay, continue this video call so that I can see where is the problem. So look, I'm doing analysis again. Okay. Oh, it's visible. Look, we are doing numerical analysis analysis of numerical variable like hemoglobin level, and we shifted it to variable box. And then for a numerical variable, we want to get mean, median, and mode, standard deviation, and minimum, maximum, and standard error. These things. Again, it is struck. There is a problem. I am one step forward and it is not visible on your screen. How can I do this? Nope. There is a problem. No. Atida, I think we can't do it here. What about doing at some other forum like on Zoom? Maybe another time in next few days, or
Yes, sir.
because we will again do it.
Yes, as you say, sir.
If you can find time and you agree, we will do it, go through the things I have told you in these 3 days, and we will arrange a Zoom meeting for doing SPSS analysis.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir, we have learned a lot about basics and putting the variables here in the sheet, and we can arrange it another time, whenever you are free.
So just tell me, even if I am in college, I will be here there to help you, or in the evening. We can do it. We can do it on mutually convenient time. Because you have to do it on Zoom actually. Zoom is very helpful. So with this hope, I hope things are now better for you. You are above the research, not stuck in the details of individual epidemiological concepts and biostatistical concepts and research methodology concepts. I hope things are now, you are better in understanding research methodology. And once it is done, you can now be more clear in classes of epidemiology, biostat, and research at your schools and colleges. So I hope it is useful. Again, let me clear that these presentations are not meant for online type of things. These things are meant for physical classes. And if I could not make you understand things, it's my fault again. But somehow it will give you some hints to understand overall concepts of the biostat, epidemiology, and such methodology. So thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Sir, I would like to say that, uh, sir, thanks for your outstanding presentation at our event, and your expertise and insights on this topic left us left a lasting impression on us. And so you did the very best you can, and we got a very wonderful insight into research basics and how we can proceed with this, and helped us build a wonderful and amazing learning movement. Sir, we highly appreciate your efforts to make
Thank you.
our 3 days research symposium a wonderful event, and the feedback and the comments of our audience are wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
I would also like to thank our General Secretary of 360 Muslim Experts, Faiza Mansha, who helped us a lot through this 3 days workshop. A big, a big shout out to our speaker, Dr. Ghualam Mustafa Rayar, General Secretary Faiza Mansha, and Zinia Iqbal, co-host of this meeting, President CRF.
So I hope now you are independent thinkers. I wish people do not get stuck in the small things. There is YouTube. There are so many people who are talking about these things. Even if you are asking about probability of 5%, there are so many videos on YouTube. You can get information, knowledge from there. So basically, I want to say that try to become independent thinker. Okay, you are living in an era of knowledge. So make use of it, and best of luck for you for your future. I wish many of you follow the career that is related with the research and make value addition in your professionalism through research. I hope, I wish, and I pray. Thank you. So it's time to leave, I think. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, all of you.